We are live in AJ's Mafia Dome. Today we have a very special guest, Coach Charles Ruffing of Bryant and Stratton College. AJ is going to give him his due diligence, and the Godfather's good going over cross-examination, and we got a lot to learn today from a very successful coach. Looking forward to it. Now here is the main man, the Godfather of good sportsmanship. He is AJ Bokine.
Thanks for the intro, Jack. First of all, Chuck, thanks for joining us today. It's an honor to have you on. Especially coming off the Region 4 championship. Thanks for joining us today. So let's get started. For those who don't know, explain the JUCO game. A few of the differences between the JUCO game and the 4-year game, and what your guys' goals are.
Age, if I could just interrupt for a second, Coach, if you could just introduce yourself and tell us where you're coaching and where you are right now, and then you can fire away AJ.
Yeah, so here at Bryant Stratton, we're a junior college here in Wauwatosa, actually, to be specifically. I was born and raised in De Pere, Wisconsin, so I moved far here. I think this is my third season of collegiate coaching. I had 1 year at West Bend East. Been kind of moving and shaking ever since, and now I'm here at Bryant Stratton.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Coach, again for joining us. Also, so tell us a little bit about the differences between maybe the JUCO game and the JUCO game and the 4-year game.
Yeah.
Obviously, your guys' goals are to get guys to 4-year schools.
Yep.
But tell us a little bit about the differences for those who may not know much about the junior college game.
Yeah, I mean, the game itself isn't really all that much different from a basketball perspective. It's really, really competitive basketball. The biggest difference is it's just the duration that they're actually here. So a 2-year obviously being a little bit different than the 4-year. And it's actually funny because now 4 years are kind of headed more of the JUCO route per se with how they go about recruiting.
Yeah, right.
Our job here is to try to bring guys in, help them develop and improve, and then try to get them up to the next level, whether that's Division 1, 2, or 3 NAI. The guys that we have here, it's kind of ranged. We've had guys that have ended up at all different levels from here at Bryant Stratton. This year we're going to have a couple guys that are going to sign full rides NAI, and a couple more that might be full Division 2 scholarship guys. So right now I think we're looking at 3 or 4 guys that are going to be going to school on full rides this next year, and then we'll have some more guys that I think will probably end up with some NAIs and D3s here. So the spring and summer kind of start to take on these next couple weeks, months.
Awesome. So if so it's obviously it's constant recruiting for you guys and to bring guys in to the JUCO level. But talk a little bit about, if you would, the history of Bryant Stratton. You guys have this isn't the first year you guys won at the big time level. Talk a little bit about that. Stepping into that after a guy that we both know well, and Coach Chris Smiker. Talk a little bit about what that was like.
Yeah, for sure. It's no secret they've had success here. You got Coach Matt, that's up at Northern Michigan, and then he's had a lot of success there. And JT obviously did his thing here and had a lot of success, and now he's at lacrosse and Elite 8. That's pretty impressive stuff. And then, for me, it was we've never been to a national tournament until this year. We won a region championship here, so this was the first year that we were able to do that. So that's kind of the goal when we got the job here with our build on what those previous have done. But it's more so, can we just play to take this thing to the next level and build it into a national power?
So you talked a little bit about the next step for you guys. So obviously we're the 10th seed this year. Obviously getting a national tournament was a big step. What is the next? What is the you got obviously compete with MATC in terms of recruits, but what is the next step for you personally in terms of what's the next step for the program for you
Yeah,
personally?
for sure. I mean, I think the biggest thing for us now is to sustain it and then to see if we can take it a next step further. Uh, I mean, we broke a lot of school records this year. We won 29 games at a 14-game winning streak. We broke some scoring records. So we had a lot of success this year. So now it's more so can we build on it? We're going to have 5 or 6 guys that are coming back that all played a lot of minutes for us this year that we're excited about, really good people. And that's the biggest thing. Like, in recruiting, there's a lot of talented players out there. And so for us, at least this last year, the reason we were able to have success is because we prioritized bringing in really high character people more than anything else. And so now we're at that stage where, we're getting different types of players that are interested in our program than maybe what there's been in the past as far as talent is concerned. But at the end of the day, that's nice and everything, but we're still really focused on trying to find really, really high quality people first and foremost. I mean, we had a 3.6 team GPA first semester, which I don't care what level you're at. That's extremely difficult to do, and it's a test type of people that we have in our program. And so we're just going to continue to build on that. We found something that works for us here. And so, like I said, our big thing is anytime I hop on a call with a recruit or in my office here, we're looking for really high character people. Are you a good dude? Do you hold the door open for people when you're at the grocery store? Do you represent our program as well on the court as you do off the court? We're looking to check all the little things because that's what's allowed us to be successful here.
Talk about the importance of, you talked a little bit, you just mentioned something I feel very important too. Talk about the importance of culture in the program. How important is that to you? I mean, that's obviously important at any level, but it's especially at the JUCO level when you get guys for 1 or 2 years.
Yep.
How important is that to you guys as a program?
It's everything, and I don't like to talk about the word culture a lot because I think it's something that's kind of overused by a lot of coaches, but it's one of these things where, like, for me, I look at culture as a really straightforward, simple thing. It's the people that you got in the room. That's what your culture is going to be. So, like, that's why we place such an emphasis on doing our work early in the recruiting process to make sure we're bringing in good people. Because if you have really good people, you're going to have a really good culture. That's kind of how I look at it. Because then my job is straight set the standard really high and hold you accountable each and every day to that standard. And so that gets a lot easier when you start to bring in people that are really good people to begin with, that have all the intangibles that we're looking for in winning. And that's something we talk about quite a bit too, is just like, how do you impact winning on and off the court and whether you're a good person. And so that's the biggest thing for us is just like, you're going to keep hearing me say it, but like just talking about the type of people we're bringing in here is massive for us. And that dictates our culture. Obviously, like, our coaching staff does a really good job of holding guys accountable on a daily basis and making sure we're doing all the little things that we need to do. But at the end of the day, you got to have good people. And like I always say this, like, and it's something that I put my hat on and I tell our staff this every day, but our best players in our program, they have to be our best leaders and our best people. Because if they're not our best people and our best leaders, we're not winning a championship, period.
Makes a lot of sense and adds up. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this: how important is relationships with the high school coaches in your area to recruit not only quality kids but quality players and make your program more as attractive as it can be for kids that may want to go the JUCO route?
For sure, it's massive. Relationships in this business are everything. I've been really fortunate enough to be in this area for a couple of years now, having worked at Wisconsin Lutheran College right down the road from here. So I've gotten to, being from Wisconsin, I've gotten to meet a lot of people, a lot of high school coaches. Having been a high school head coach in the North Shore has helped me expand my network. And those relationships are everything, because at the end of the day, like, if you've got really good relationships with the high school coaches, they know what you're about, you know what they're about, and it just makes our job a lot easier here. I mean, I know your guy Sean Kreider is probably listening, but like guys like that, they're crucial to our success because they know what I'm about, and what type of guys are going to succeed here and what we value. And so whether it's Coach Kreider at Homestead or Coach Winchester at the Pier, Coach Waltz at Wisconsin Lutheran, there's so many different people that are involved, and just having those relationships definitely makes this job a lot easier, because you kind of know what to expect, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You talk a little bit about your tree. Talk a little bit about how that helped you grow as a coach.
For sure.
How that helped you grow to where you are today.
Yeah, no, I mean, my coaching tree that I've been under has been phenomenal. It started at Franklin College out in Indianapolis. I worked for a Hall of Fame coach named Kerry Prather. He's the president now at Franklin. And then I went out to Rockford University and worked for Coach Andrew Weber when I was pretty young. That was one of my first jobs, and then learned a lot from him. And then my career really changed when I went out to Wisconsin Lutheran College with Coach Onenson. He's somebody I talk to on a daily basis. He's been a mentor of mine. He really challenged me to kind of learn and grow as a person and a coach. He's always having me watch and learn different, coaching clinics or whatever it might be, trying to get me to study the game. And it's been extremely monumental to me, because I look at the profession differently because of him. And then, I worked for Drake Diener at Marion, and that was probably, to this day, some of the most fun I've ever had. We went to the national tournament with Marion a couple of years ago, and we turned that thing around. And, guys like Drake Diener and Aaron Onenson, those are two of my best friends in this business, and guys I talk to on a weekly, monthly basis. And it's funny because I actually miss being an assistant some days. I tell those guys that all the time, just miss being around those guys. And because at the end of the day, probably coach for a long time, going to win a lot of games, going to lose a lot of games, but it's about the relationships and just who you're doing with and having fun. And it's always fun to catch up with them and their families. And I feel like I'm getting older watching their kids grow up, and you see them start to play, and it's kind of surreal how the whole circle of life works, but it's been a lot of fun.
Right. Talk a little bit about you're a young, we first met, was that about a year ago?
Yeah.
When you were teaching our guys, the defense for one of our games. So talk a little bit about our growth. You worked for the guy this year that I know really well, and Chuck Smith. So talk a little bit about how it came full circle, if you would.
Yeah, no, I mean, everybody that's on my staff, I've been really fortunate to be surrounded by such great people. Coach Hoffman, who's one of my assistants here, we played together in college, so we actually had a previous relationship before he came here, and he actually was here with JT. So he's been pivotal to our success, just knowing how this place works and helping me behind the scenes on a lot of different stuff. He's kind of the guy who really gets it all done behind the scenes that probably doesn't get talked about enough. Obviously, Chuck Smith, I've known for a couple of years. A guy that in the Milwaukee area, player development has been phenomenal. He's great with our guys, a lot of energy and passion. And then I added one of my former players, Sonny Finnessy, who played at Nicolay. So he's on our staff now. And then Gunsby, I actually met through some of my coaching buddies, and he's been absolutely phenomenal as well. Him and Sonny both have brought an energy and exuberance to our program and are great with our guys. That's a big part of it, making sure you surround yourself with really, really good assistants and really good people.
Yes, sir.
A lot easier.
Yes, sir. Now, I'll leave it with this. What's your biggest? Where do you see the program in? Let's say, what's your biggest goal for the program? Let's say in 5 years or so.
I think the biggest thing is just to continue to leave it better than what we found it each and every year is obviously the goal for us. I think winning is really, really hard no matter where you're at. And so I don't take it for granted. It's something that we're going to continue to enjoy as long as we're able to do it. And I feel like we do a really good job of differentiating ourselves in our region. We're going to continue to build on that success. mean, for us, I don't think it's a secret. Like MATC's won a national championship. South Suburban down in Chicago's won a national championship these last couple of years. And so our goal is to do that. Our goal is to kind of get into that national picture year in, year out and give ourselves a shot to compete for the national championship at some point in time. Obviously, that's harder said than done. But we're just going to continue to grow here as a staff, on the program, and try to give ourselves an opportunity here.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, I do have one more.
AJ has Coach, I don't know if you know this already, but AJ says, I have one more question. And he says that about 7 times.
No.
And then in the 8th time, when everybody's ready to go to sleep because it's so late at night, then AJ says, I guess that's it. So just a warning, I don't know how well you know AJ's interviewing style.
No, I talk a little bit about the differences, and then you said there's one national tournament, but it's a little different because you have to win your regional tournament first to qualify. So talk a little bit about the differences in that, if you would.
Yeah, no, it's the national tournament in junior college is extremely competitive. There's only 20 teams that make it to the national tournament. They did start adding at-large bids this past season. So you do have 2 different avenues to qualify now for the national tournament, whether it's, being an at-large bid or winning your region tournament. But I think that's what makes it even more difficult. Like, you've got such a small number of teams that are down at the national tournament. So, to be one of those teams, it's extremely difficult. We had to win our region this year to get down there, and we did that. That was a surreal moment in itself. It's never been done. But yeah, it's extremely unique because even once you get to the tournament, you're able to play multiple games because they place you out. So if you lose in the Sweet 16, you're still playing another game or 2 potentially, which is kind of cool because
that's cool.
It allows the kids to continue to get recruited that week. It's a week process. That's where it's a little bit different than what the NCAA tournament is. But it's really well done. It's a special thing. I know our guys had a lot of fun with it. So
that's awesome. It's a little different style, but I like it. That's awesome.
For sure. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Coach. We appreciate it.
Wait, AJ. I could have one question for goodness sakes. You hogged the whole thing.
What do you got?
Well, Coach, I was watching some of your interviews, and you used a term I hadn't heard before, and I find it very interesting. You referred to toilet bowl victories.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what that is, please?
Explain that.
Toilet bowl victories are any victory that we had where we shot under 40% from the field and under 30 from 3. Because, to me, it's anytime you're under 40 from the field and 30 from 3, things get really, really difficult really fast. And there's a point in the season where we had won, I don't know, I'd have to go back and look, but I think 4 or 5 of those games. And I was like, wow, this is it's a really good thing on one hand because it's you're finding ways to win really ugly. Right. But then on the other hand, you're sitting there like, goodness gracious, we got to figure some stuff out. So, yeah, toilet bowl victories. One of my best friends in the business, Rick Carter, he's actually with the D-League, the son. Him and he were just talking one night on the phone, and long story long, he's like, well, hey, what about, why don't you call it? Why don't you come up for a phrase? Because, I was having a hard time, using reverse psychology on these guys. So I said, hey, guys, I know shots aren't falling, so we're going to try to see how many games we can win shooting under 40 and 30%. And we victories, man. So
I love that.
I love that too. Yeah, great. Well, thank you. And thanks, AJ. Thanks for letting me get one in there.
Sorry.
That's unusual. Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, thanks very much for joining us. We know you're busy. This is there's never an off time a year for the coach, is there? Yeah. You're always working.
No, I appreciate you having me, AJ. This is big time.
Thank you, sir.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, thanks. Yeah, thanks very much. Please come back again. We'd love to have you on again.
Absolutely. You guys
very cool.
Keep growing, Coach. Keep growing. That's right.
Take care.
Absolutely.